So I've been noticing some really interesting reactions to this unfolding story about Donald Trump pressuring a foreign country, Ukraine, to help his election 2020 by investigating one of his rivals. And those reactions are coming from the Senate side, which has, by and large, more or less, largely stayed mum up until now about the issue of impeachment. Of course, it doesn't originate in their House. So Senator Brian Schatz, Democrat of Hawaii, tweeted, quote, "What is impeachment for if not for this?" Senator Chris Murphy, Democrat of Connecticut, tweeted, quote, "If he demanded a foreign government to do his political bidding, that's when he crossed the critical threshold. No need to overthink this." And then there's Senator Elizabeth Warren, Democrat of Massachusetts, obviously running for president, who was already on the record supporting impeachment, sending an unmistakable message directly to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi with this tweet, quote, "After the Mueller report, Congress had a duty to begin impeachment. By failing to act, Congress is complicit in Trump's latest attempt to solicit foreign interference to aid him in U.S. elections. Do your constitutional duty and impeach the president." Pretty direct. So that's what's going on in the Senate. In the House, the tally for impeachment for the Democrats was 134 before today, when Minnesota Democratic Congressman Dean Phillips came out, somewhat surprisingly, and I'll explain in a second, in favor of impeachment, saying, quote, "If the reports are corroborated, we must pursue articles of impeachment and report them to the full House of Representatives for immediate consideration." Another of his Minnesota colleagues, Democratic Congresswoman Angie Craig, also following suit. And I should tell you that both of those Minnesota Democrats, they're from swing districts, and they are now in favor of impeachment. This could be the break glass moment, but it remains to be seen if the rest of the Democratic caucus agrees. Here with me now, someone who's been an outspoken advocate of impeachment since well before the current news. In fact, even before the Mueller report, Democratic Congressman Al Green of Texas, who's now introduced articles of impeachment against Donald Trump unsuccessfully 3 times. Congressman, what do you make of both this story and whether it constitutes high crimes and misdemeanors, and the statements of your Democratic colleagues in the wake of it?
Well, thank you so much for having me on, Mr. Hayes. This is an important story. It could be the straw that will break the camel's back for a number of people who haven't come on board. But as you know, a good many people have already decided that we should move in the direction of impeachment. It's my belief that we're seeing a rerun of what happened with Mr. Comey. If you'll recall, with Mr. Comey, the president fired him. The president went on television, national TV, prime time, and said that he was thinking about that Russia thing at the time he fired Mr. Comey. So this is nothing new in the sense that the president does this quite regularly. He's done it with other things, and he'll continue to do it. With reference to my colleagues, we're at the crossroads of accountability. Either we will hold the president accountable or we will be held accountable. There are people who literally believe now that we are aiding and abetting the president, not in the legal sense, but in the sense that our inactions allow him to continue his actions, his invidious actions, I might add. So the public expects something from Congress given this circumstance. And for those who say that you have to wait on the public, I am so pleased that Rosa Parks didn't take a poll. She wouldn't have taken that seat on that bus. If John Lewis had taken a poll before they crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge, I'm not sure they would have crossed on Bloody Sunday. And thank God Dr. King didn't take a poll before having the march on Washington. The great issues that have to be dealt with are not dealt with based upon polls. They're based upon principles.
Well, let me ask you this. There's a sense, right, that there's political danger for members of frontline districts in moving in some formal sense towards impeachment. And I wonder if you think it's significant that those 2 Minnesota members who are in swing districts, who aren't in very safe seats, safe Democratic seats, came out today based on this information.
I think you've made a salient point in referencing them. I do believe, Mr. Hayes, that they should be saluted. I commend them for putting principle above politics, for putting the people above our party. This is what has to happen. This is not about Democrats and Republicans. It's about the democracy, government of the people, by the people, for the people, and whether we're going to save our republic. They have done the righteous thing. Not just the right thing, but the righteous thing. And I commend them and hope that they will continue to encourage others to do so. By the way, I think you'll see more people coming out. The momentum now is in the direction of impeachment. I think the president will be impeached, and I think that you'll see many more come out within the next week or two.
So tomorrow there's going to be a House caucus members-only meeting at 4 p.m. Do you have anticipation? I think this will be one of the agenda items, along with, I think, some discussion of trade and the president's efforts to ratify a kind of NAFTA 2.0, and whether the speaker will put her muscle behind that effort, deliver that for the president. Do you anticipate a lot of this is going to be hashed out in that caucus tomorrow? Is this something there's going to be strenuous debate about?
Well, I would hope so, in this sense. I think we need to have a discussion about what impeachment really is. Your prior guest, I believe his name was David, he made an important point when he said that this is political. And if we are going to make this a trial where you have to have guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, clear and convincing evidence, then we're doing the Constitution a disservice. The framers didn't intend for us to have a criminal offense. This is misdeeds that we're witnessing, and they made it possible for us to impeach a president for his misdeeds. When he spoke to the president of Ukraine, and he, by virtue of the circumstances, was extorting him, you don't have to have extortion in the legal sense.
Right.
You just have it in the sense of a misdeed. This is political. There will be no appeal to the Supreme Court. We don't have to tell anybody why we voted to impeach. This is all about doing what we would do if we were the corporate board members of a company, and the corporate chief executive officer was misbehaving in such a way as to hurt the company. The president is hurting the country, and we have a duty, responsibility, and an obligation to take that to the Senate and let the Senate act.
Yeah.
If the Senate doesn't impeach him, then those senators will have to answer.
Congressman Al Green, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.